Time now for a Golf Today roundtable chat as we say hello to my podcast partner, Rex Hoggard, who is soon to be heading up to Atlanta. Rex, you're going to be wishing you're in that air-conditioned home studio. But with the Tour Championship on deck, the PGA Tour's season finale, what's your biggest storyline, whether it's player, whether it's course, whether it's the top 30 field?
George, you probably missed this last week, but when Lav was at the BMW Championship, way up at that mile-high air, we did the podcast, and I was really worried about him, almost to the point I felt like we needed to call the authorities. He was flushed. He didn't have any color in his face. He was breathing heavy, so I'm glad he's back in the studio and comfortable. Going to Atlanta next week, it's going to be the heat, obviously. We're going to talk about, back at sea level, thankfully. We're going to talk a lot about the golf course, and I'm really curious. I did kind of a crash course this morning, sort of just looking at what Andrew Green did at that golf course, because it's suited a style of play for so long. We've talked about Xander Schauffele. He has so many strokes ahead of everyone else when it comes to this golf course. We've talked about how well Rory has played here. It clearly suits a style of player. I'm really, really curious if these changes are going to maybe bring the medium back in, where Scottie Scheffler is clearly not a fan of this golf course, but he talked yesterday before leaving the BMW Championship just about the idea of he wants to get there, he wants to see it, he wants to hope that maybe this golf course doesn't favor a certain type of play.
Yeah, for me, it was a pedestrian week for a lot of stars at the BMW Championship. Is that an anomaly based on the fact that we were playing at 6,400 feet elevation, the highest altitude of any course this year on the PGA Tour? Or is this general wear and tear based on a long season, and now we're getting ready for the final leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs? But is Scottie Scheffler going to bounce back and really rubber stamp what will be one of the best seasons we've seen on the PGA Tour in the last 15 to 20 years if he can finally break through and win a Tour Championship, a FedEx Cup playoffs, have 7 wins, 8 worldwide if you include the gold medal? So that would be my biggest storyline coming into the week. What about you, Lev?
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. When you think about last week at the BMW Championship, it did seem like a one-off. You saw some of the distance control issues that Scottie Scheffler and caddy Ted Scott were having. You look at Scottie Scheffler and the hallmark of his game, it is iron play, and in particular, it is his distance control. And to see him missing with even the shortest clubs, the frustration that was boiling over, yes, it's certainly an indication that sort of a long season is catching up with him, particularly sort of the condensed nature of the PGA Tour now returning to this calendar year schedule with the signature events, the majors, the Olympic tournament as well, and now in these 3 playoff events as well. It's a lot of golf in a very short period of time. I do think Scottie Scheffler is immensely motivated to get finally a FedEx Cup title on his resume. What do you think, Rex? If Scottie Scheffler does not win this week, or if Xander Schauffele does not win, the 2 leading protagonists of this PGA Tour season, are you going to be one of those guys who's howling for change that the PGA Tour needs to blow this thing up?
No, I agree with what Scottie said 2 weeks ago in Memphis. It's silly. It's not a season-long race. We can sit here and call it whatever we want. The season-long race ended at the Wyndham Championship. It's not a playoff. That word was never going to fit with golf. What the Tour has created, however, is something that's kind of cool during a time of year when our attention is clearly going in the direction of football, where you have the top players playing in pretty big markets. You go back to Denver last week, Memphis 2 weeks ago, Atlanta this week, playing for a significant amount of money where people are going to pay attention to it. That's it. End of list. Full stop. I think the idea that they're going to come up with some sort of system that's perfect, that's going to fit everyone, is ridiculous. We're not going to get there. This is silly, and they've done a really good job over, let's say, 2+ decades of coming up with a system that's better, but it's never going to be perfect.
We're looking at the top 10 in the standings. Rex, why isn't this a playoff?
I just don't think playoff as a concept ever really fit with golf, because you and I and Lav are going to sit around over the next couple of weeks and talk about the playoffs when it comes to football or baseball or whatever the case may be, and you would have a home field advantage. You would have the idea of a team getting hot at the right time. You would have a dark horse coming into the playoffs that you would like coming into this week. Justin Thomas is going to start this week way behind Scottie Scheffler on that particular golf course at East Lake. He really doesn't have much of a chance. He said as much on Sunday when he left the BMW Championship. You like to think you have a chance, but it's not going to be much. You don't have any of those things with what we have here with the postseason, playoff, season-long race. Again, call it whatever you want to call it. I think what they've created is interesting. It's a compelling product, again, during a time of year when you normally wouldn't be paying a whole lot of attention to golf, but I don't think it's a playoff.
So no dark horse. Yeah, Keegan Bradley was 50th and just won, and now he's 4th. That's a Cinderella story. The home field advantage is the baked-in FedEx Cup points that guys accrue. You're never going to have a true – it's not like Scottie Scheffler can say, oh, we're going to go play my favorite course in Dallas because I'm in the top spot, but it's the points accrued that give him this semblance of what would be golf's version of a home field advantage. So I'm one who my thinking personally has evolved over time, where I think they're getting significantly closer with the format. I don't think they're 100% there. Last week I was working PGA Tour Live, and it was interesting. We had Justin Thomas's group early in the day. He's mic'd up. He's talking to Max Homa about potential format changes, and he was saying maybe Pebble Beach could be a future spot within the playoffs. Maybe they have rotating locations for a tour championship if they're ever going to touch the West Coast in the future. So I think the format is getting closer. The venues could be the potential shift that we see in the coming years. What about you, Lav?
I mean, I certainly think that's something that we'd love to see, having a playoff system, a 3-week playoffs on the West Coast in prime time for East Coast viewers. The biggest issues with that, of course, is FedEx is a huge sponsor of the PGA Tour. That wants to have its mark on one of the playoff events. Its corporation, it's headquartered in Memphis. You look at the Tour Championship this week, Southern Company, Coca-Cola, those are big sponsors for the PGA Tour as well. They obviously want to have it in the South, but moving it in locations in a more favorable time slot, I would agree, would certainly be more favorable. I'm with Rex, who I think is probably with Scottie as well, and that I think this is a breakdown in how it's marketed and how it's sort of framed, calling it a season-long race. The PGA Tour Player of the Year award is the season-long race. And so whether that's most likely going to be Scottie Scheffler, you can say that Scottie Scheffler was a season-long champion. This is fun. I like the FedEx Cup playoffs. I like how they've done it. I agree with you, George. I think it has gotten closer to what the ideal is. Can they make some tweaks to it? Maybe. Would Scottie Scheffler's lead be 3 or 4 shots more realistically if you had a computer sort of spitting that out? Yes. Does that make for a more compelling week of product at the Tour Championship? I don't know. They're trying to thread a very fine needle here of having an entertaining season finale while also crowning a winner who, no disrespect to Keegan Bradley, would not sort of be out of nowhere over the past couple of months.
And one final thought. I think, and we say this a lot with big events, venues matter. And I think for the FedEx Cup playoffs, we've seen venues change and evolve over time, and you would hope 5-10 years down the road, this is the first leg, this is the second leg, this is the third leg. There's some stability where fans then have an understanding and notoriety of what that represents in the grand scheme of the PGA Tour schedule and the playoffs having this elevated sense of importance. All right, what's our final topic, Lav? What are we going with?
I think, Rex, how about Keegan Bradley, the winner last week at the BMW Championship? There's a lot of conversation now. He's up to 10th in points, although the points are not officially rolling over now to the final week. They can certainly make an impression on Jim Furyk. Where are you going? If we had to make a decision right now, are you putting Keegan Bradley on that U.S. President's Cup team, or do you think they should go in a different direction?
I followed our colleague Mark Slayball's lead. I did tiers. I know you're going to enjoy those as much as you like reading those. So in the first tier is Sam Burns and I think Tony Finau. They're pretty much locked as much as you can make a captain's pick a lock. And then the second tier is Let's Talk About It tier, and that's going to be Keegan. It's going to be Russell Henley, and it's going to be Brian Harman. And I do think that Keegan ends up getting a pick. I thought it was an interesting conversation that you guys had earlier about the idea, does he deserve a pick based on 1 week's performance at Mile High Air? Maybe not. However, he's still right there on the list, and he has to pick someone, and I'm tired of hearing you say it should be Nick Dunlap.
But it should be Nick Dunlap. If you want to get him in the system as a 20-year-old with a lot of runway still ahead of him, Nick Dunlap deserves serious consideration. He would be much higher on the points. I believe he's 25th on the points because he did not receive the necessary amount of points for winning the American Express earlier this season. It would look markedly different. He'd be more in sort of that Denny McCarthy, Justin Thomas tier of players who are under consideration, as opposed to now, at least on paper, he looks well outside the number.
I'd love to see, and I mean, you heard what we said earlier, Rex. I think Keegan Bradley 100% should be on, but in consideration, also another young guy, Akshay Bhatia, currently 14th. I think he's a name that should take some serious merit, depending on, are you going to go with guys who have experience, or are you going to try and start grooming who could be the next crop of core guys that are part of U.S. teams, not just for this year, but going forward for the next decade?
And Rex, we certainly talked about that more 10, 15 minutes on the podcast this morning. If you guys enjoyed conversations like these, plus a whole lot more, be sure to check out the Golf Channel podcast with Rex and Lav. We'll be doing another one on Wednesday, live from Eastlake. Also, George, they can chop this up, throw it on the Golf Today podcast. And you can always find us on YouTube.
No goodbye to Rex?
Nah, I've already talked to him enough.